Yahoo! It's time for Mario Generations What If Part 4. What? Mario, what are you talking about? Part 4, the video. The Mario Generations. Dude, Mario, I made those videos like exactly 2 years ago. I'm done with that project. You'll continue the project. What? You can't make me, dude. I'm done with that. I'm not making those videos anymore. You'll make the project, or you see this Koopa shell? There's several places I know it can fit. Alright, I'll make part 4 or whatever. Better. Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and welcome to part 4 of the Mario Generations What If video. That was made exactly 2 years ago. I started this. So, for those of y'all who don't know, 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, look at the day and then look at the date of the first video, I made a What If Mario Generations video. Basically, a what if Mario was given the Generations idea rather than Sega with Sonic. Mario would go through most of his most infamous games and, play as a Wii game or a 3DS game, depending on your preference. And then it would make a overall game based on his past adventures, which lead up to at least Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, in the idea of making this game, I figured that it would be a good idea to think of ideas for this. I mean, obviously, Sonic Generations already exists, so there was no real way to do this. Like, make the game. However, there is a way to imagine what the game would be like if we were in an alternate universe. So I made several different videos. I made the first video pretty much explaining like the bosses and rivals that Mario would be facing. And then I got into a little bit more in depth with how the characters were controlled gameplay wise. And then I also made a video explaining more about like the levels that would represent each of the overall games. And that was one of the videos, even to this day, that's gotten the most views. Hell, it's number 1 on my list, and second being my Mega Evolutions video about how I want Mega Raichu, which I still want, Nintendo. What the fuck, Game Freak? Anyway, going on that aside, I pretty much abandoned the project around part 4, which anybody was waiting for part 4 got terribly disappointed. But the thing was, besides college and the school thing, and then me getting on other projects such as the X and Y anime reviews and continuing my Emerald Let's Play and then finishing it off, to be honest, what really happened was that I just ran out of ideas for it. I mean, there's really no other way to excuse what's been going on in the Mario Generations videos. I just didn't know what the hell else to think. So I ran out of ideas for it. However, I was able to think it over a couple of times, and these past few weeks I've been thinking of a overall plot. Hell, if you look at the videos now, or at least the first video, a lot of people have made up their own plots in the comment sections, which are pretty good. And some of them have even gone as far as trying to make a fan game out of this idea. Please, there's no real credit needed to be given to me. These are just ideas I thought up in my head that I thought would make for a good Mario Generations video. The overall credit goes to you all as the fans, because I owe a lot to the Mario Generations videos, since it's the most viewed and it's the reason I got most of the subscribers that I have now. So I figured what better way to celebrate 200 subscribers that I now have but to make another Mario Generations review. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so used to saying review. A Mario Generations video. Basically, I was going to go ahead and explain the plot and overall the same things that I went over through the video game breakdown and what I feel should be added into the game to make it more interesting. Now, I'll still be taking into account that this game would have been out during the same time as Sonic Generations, which means that there would be no Super Mario 3D World or any of the other newer Mario games that came out around the year of Luigi or any of those. So those games aren't canon in this universe because they didn't exist yet. So with that said, basically I can just jump into the plot. Now, for a long time, the plot was the thing that was making me the most confused. Mostly because Mario's a difficult game to make into a really big plot unless you're playing the RPG games like Super Mario RPG or the Mario Superstar Saga or any of the Mario Luigi RPG games or the Paper Mario series. It's hard to make a real RPG plot, a meaty plot, a interesting and indulging plot without it being an RPG game. Most of the platformer games that Mario have usually involves him saving Princess Peach, with the exceptions being the Mario 2. That's it. But if you look deep within it, you can learn that Mario actually is capable of gaining plot that doesn't involve just saving Princess Peach. I know I said I won't use any old newer games, but I'm just using this as a reference now. After seeing Mario 3D World, I can know now that Princess Peach being kidnapped doesn't have to be the only formula that games have. A plot can get more in depth and expand even more. Now, I know it isn't much in Mario 3D World to save these fairies versus saving the princess, but it is noteworthy to know that it changes things up a bit and expands the Mario franchise just a little bit more. Hell, it even lets you play as Princess Peach and Rosalina. But regardless, back to Mario Generations. So, thinking long and hard, this is the plot I ended up able to sum up in my head. Basically, you start off just like you do in Sonic Generations, playing as 8-bit Mario in World 1-1. The World 1-1 that you'll be playing will more than likely look exactly the same as the regular World 1-1 in the original game, with a few twists and differences in the platform just to make it a bit more interesting for newcomers. However, after you beat that and go into the warp pipe in order to get you to World 1-2, we cut to a cutscene where 3D Mario just got done saving Princess Peach from Bowser. After Bowser's defeat, he goes over and tries to figure out a way to defeat him, concocting a new plan immediately right after his old plan. This plan involves a bunch of trap stars that he has inside of a container known as the Time Stars. Bowser plans to use these Time Stars in order to reset things back to the moment in which he had kidnapped Princess Peach so that he can stop Mario before he ends up coming to defeat him. And then he was hoping to do this as many times. He would even go off as to make a reference to it being just like having an extra life on his side. You know, to laugh at the fact that this is a video game. However, while he's going off to get the Time Stars ready to be powered up, Kamek flies in and comedically knocks into a bunch of the Time Stars. Once he knocks into them, the container ends up falling inside of a warp pipe. Kamek ends up falling in as well, and it breaks. The Time Stars, much like regular stars, have their own personalities, like in Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2, and being scared, they accidentally release all of their power at once, thus warping and ripping up time apart. Now, what this does is while Mario is saving Princess Peach in the 3D modern area, they go through a warp pipe in order to return back to the Mushroom Kingdom. However, things get twisted and the entire dimension of how warp pipes transport you from one spot to another gets ripped apart. Now, this takes all of the worlds that were ever taken in the world of Mario and warps them in. No problem, right? Well, one problem hits when one of the worlds gets sucking in, known as the Minus World. The world that you glitch into in the original Mario games. The Minus World causes some problems and ends up getting Mario as well as 8-bit Mario stuck into a wormhole and then spits them out. Before Mario notices, he immediately sees his 8-bit counterpart. Now that they're confused as to exactly where they are, it would appear that they are in World 1-1 again. Only this time, 8-bit Mario, since he's completed it already, you won't have to complete it again. You would then complete the game, the complete World 1-1 as modern Mario, entering a 3D-like perspective, and then move on to World 1-2 and World 1-3 to represent Super Mario Bros. 1. Once you've beaten all three of those levels, you'll immediately learn that each of these levels are provided with time stars once you beat them. Now here's how things would go. In the modern Mario sections would play exactly like Super Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy 1, and Galaxy 2, in which you need to gain a certain amount of time stars, and it'll show the menu and then the requirements used to get each time star. With that said, you'll be able to complete each of the level's objectives in order to gain the time star, just as you would a regular star in Mario Galaxies 1 or 2 or 64 Sunshine, like I said. 8-bit Mario's case is a bit different. While the menu in order to get the time stars is there just like the modern Mario's is, the way to obtain them will be different. For example, you get the first time star by completing the level. Going to the end of the level and bringing the flagpole down will get you the original time star. However, in order to get different time stars, you have to complete different objectives. So, in order to get a time star the second time in World 1-1, you would need to complete the level in a certain amount of time. In order to get it a third time, you would have to collect a certain amount of coins before reaching the gold ring. Doing this will get 8-bit Mario stars that he needs, and doing the other objectives that 3D Mario would have to do, like get to a certain point or battle a Goomba King or something, would provide Mario with the time stars, and then these time stars work collectively in order to open other sections of levels. Then you would move on to Mario Brothers 2, in which 8-bit Mario and modern Mario would do the second level that is representative of that. And then obviously you would fight off against Birdo and do that whole spiel. Then again, you would move on even further. Along the way, you would reach cutscenes in which modern Mario and 8-bit Mario have their differences. For example, 8-bit Mario will see the time star in a high corridor-based area. He tries to jump for it, but he's not high enough, and modern Mario just simply uses wall jump in order to get himself to the top and grab the time star. 8-bit Mario tries to wall jump, jumps off the first wall, but immediately fails after that. As a comic cutscene. Meanwhile, while traveling to the third level, which I chose to be the desert level for Super Mario Bros. 3, just based on the iconic sun that chases you, the sun would end up chasing you as a thing in both the modern and 8-bit sections while you gather time stars. After that, and you've beaten that level, you would have to face 8-bit Bowser or King Koopa. 8-bit Mario would go ahead and fight off against 8-bit Bowser in the same way as classic Sonic would be fighting off against Dr. Robotnik. With 8-bit Mario finally defeating Bowser 3 times in 3 different castles. The first castle would be an easy one. The second one would have platforms, and King Koopa would be jumping and doing more difficult things. And the third castle would be reminiscent of Super Mario Bros. 3. Immediately afterwards, you go into what I call the late 90s section. This is basically the level in which you do Super Mario World 64 and Super Mario Sunshine based levels, with Super Mario 64's level being the Bomb Bomb Fortress, in which you use the 8-bit Mario will finally be introduced to like cannons, in which he comically uses his fail or knockout pose in order to fly through each of the areas using the cannons. And modern Mario uses them just as well. And with that said, the next level would have to be the now at first I had decided against with Delfino Plaza, but as a lot of fans have speculated, the best level to represent Super Mario Sunshine would probably be Pico Pico Harbor, so I've changed it to that. Next off would be, and the Super Mario World level will be the Forest of Illusion, because I feel it's one of the most iconic levels in that game, from Mario being lost in that forest for a lot. And then, like, how Sonic Generations lets you play different music while you're in each of the levels. One of the songs I definitely think would be a good touch for this would be would be the Forest Maze from Super Mario RPG as an alternate song for the Forest Evolutions. So yeah, good touch there. Once you go there, instead of controlling 8-bit Mario or Modern Mario for the late 90s boss, you'll instead control Paper Mario as you fight off against the Dark Queen from Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. Why'd I choose this boss? I said it in the first video I made. I wanted to make a boss that was iconic of that, but not be Bowser. Because if you look in Sonic Generations, Dr. Robotnik, excuse me, either one works. Classic Robotnik is the boss for the classic era, and then Chaos is the boss for the middle era, and then for the final era is Robotnik, modern Robotnik, or modern Eggman. So I wanted to do like a Mario fighting a deity or a god, and Dark Queen's the closest thing I could think of to a god. So yeah, Paper Mario fighting Dark Queen would be cool. And instead of you fighting Dark Queen turn-based like in the game that she came from, you'd fight her via, jumping and kicking and things like that. And then the rivals, I forgot to mention, the rival for Classic Area would be 8-bit Donkey Kong, because, that's where Mario got his start, so I feel he's the most iconic rival. And then the middle era rival would be, I chose Bowser Jr., because the whole Koopa Kids motif that was happening through a lot of the games. So then we move on to the final era, which is Mario Galaxy, New Super Mario World for the Wii, and Mario Galaxy 2. The levels that were represented of that were Gusty Garden, and there was a snow level from New Super Mario Brothers that I wanted in there. And then also there was the final level was Bowser's Fortress. Yeah, it was Bowser's Fortress. Now, rewinding back a bit to the Mario Sunshine, there was a cutscene where I was thinking of where Mario's underwater, modern Mario is underwater, and 8-bit Mario underwater, and they're getting a time stone, and they're so close. Well, modern Mario's so close to getting it, but he runs out of air and he ends up drowning and comically floating up, but 8-bit Mario's like still swimming, like, what's the problem? Just to reminisce at the fact that 8-bit Mario does not need to breathe. And I thought that would be a nice touch. Now, modern Mario doesn't need to breathe in his side-scroller games, but I thought it would be a good touch to make it for this. So, anyway, we move on. After that, the modern era boss would be, I chose Wario just because of Super Smash Bros. That came out around this time, but also because of, for the main fact that Wario needed to be introduced somehow into the game, and I didn't know how. And then, finally, we move on to the boss, which would be the Super Mario Galaxy 1 boss battle with Mario versus Bowser. So, because I thought that was really iconic. It was like one of the best battles that Mario and Bowser have had in a long time. And then once they defeated all of those trials and got the time stars necessary for that, they would then have to enter the final level, which is known as the Minus World. And the Minus World has two parts, 8-bit and 3D. Now, you would think that modern Mario would be in his 3D environment, obviously, and 8-bit Mario would be in an 8-bit version. No, I decided to switch it up, and the Minus World has them both in different parts, with 8-bit Mario doing a 3D section. Now, this would play very similar to Paper Mario and how he did during Super Paper Mario for the Wii, in which he can turn flat and go through things and, just like change the perspective of the entire world and use that to his advantage while still using the platforms and things like that. And the Minus World would gather a lot of the gimmicks from a lot of the previous levels and would even show things making no sense, like bloopers in mid-air floating and things like that. Like a very, very chaotic level to represent that Minus World was the glitchy level of Super Mario Brothers. And then when they finally get to the end, you can use both, you can switch between both of the Marios in order to fight off against Kamek. Yes, Kamek's the goddamn final boss in this one, because Kamek decides that he wants to use his power to bring back all of the stars that Mario had went through the trouble of gathering. And then he uses these time stars in order to take control of them. And then you use both Marios in order to stop Kamek from, gaining control of all of that power, and he ends up getting beat. However, it's not over. Bowser then takes Kamek's wand away and starts to use the power himself. And then you have to use both Marios in order to defeat Bowser. And then once you beat Bowser for the final time, the timed chaotic Bowser, you will finally turn everything back to normal, and the time stars will be free to go back into space. And then 8-Bit Mario and Modern Mario save both their respective Princess Peaches. But I like to think that there's a cutscene where 8-Bit Mario is looking at Modern Peach and falls more attractive to her, and 8-Bit Peach gets jealous of herself. And then they all both return back, and 8-Bit Mario shows that he's getting better at wall jump, but by doing 2 jumps, and then he fails. And then Modern Mario laughs, and they both take warp pipes and go their separate ways. And that's basically what I thought of the game. Now, there's a couple of malicious things that I want to put in. I don't know if I pronounced that word right, or malicious, whatever. There's a couple of things I also wanted to talk about that I talked about in previous games, previous videos I made of Mario Generations. Overall, when I was thinking of this, I was thinking of having everything be a lot like Sonic Generations with its own Mario twist. So you're probably noticing something. Wait, Tyrone, what about the bonus games that Sonic had to do in Sonic Generations? Well, those would be in Mario Generation 2 in the form of like Mario Party version games. So you would have to play party version games like you play in Mario Party games. And then there's a lot of Mario Kart races you could do, and if you get a certain rank on those races, you can get certain prizes, with the first prize being a time star necessary in order to get to the next level, because you need time stars in order to get to each of them to the next part of the level. Similar to how in Mario Galaxies 1 and 2, if you're using the little Mario ship to fly across, then you can't go to the next galaxy unless you have a certain amount of stars. Or if Mario 64, you can't enter a certain door unless you have a certain amount of stars. Same concept. So you would have to go out of your way to play some mini games. Now, with that said, what would be the prize for getting more than what's necessary? Well, getting more than what's necessary as far as time stars would unlock like little bonus games. And I think getting a certain amount will let you use 8-Bit Luigi and Modern Luigi. I think that's a nice prize. And if you're playing this in like a 2-player like environment, then there's certain levels of Mario that you get to do that are strictly 2-player based. And some of those games you can unlock. And then you can also use some of the time stars to unlock music, artwork, and things like that. Like, I want to make the time stars an actual purpose. Some of the prizes you can win would include just power-ups that you can get. So, like, for example, if you come in second in a race, then you can get, you can get a Mega Mushroom power-up or whatever. And little things like that. And there will also be, like, a holding department, just like in New Super Mario Wii and New Super Mario U and Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World, I believe, had it. A little compartment in which holds your power-ups and items and things like that. So if you get hit, then one will fall out of the sky, or you can use one in the hub world before you enter the level. So yeah, nice little touch. So you actually gain something from all of these. And some of the games may include like a modern version of the original Mario Brothers. The game where you get to like use Mario and Luigi in the little sewers, and you get to hit the platform under the Koopas or whatever animal was running on top of those platforms. If you hit that and they get flipped over, you can kick them to earn points. So there's a modern and an 8-bit version of that, or you can choose to play as either or. So I think that'd be a nice touch. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to have miscellaneous things like that. just embedded in the game. And overall, the concept of it all would just be to collect a lot of time stars in order to gain extra things, but you need time stars in order to get to certain parts of the game. Now, I didn't want to make this like a heavy thing that forces you to get all of the time stars, but it's worth, like, it'd be worth it. I want it to be worth it, because Sonic Generation did a pretty good job of making the red rings actually worth something in this game, or in that game, and Sonic Colors did as well, because your prize was Super Sonic once you pretty much got all of them. And then in Sonic Generations, your prize for getting pretty much all of the red rings was like concept art and music. So I wanted to keep the same formula going and have like nice callbacks to certain ones. And some of the games can include like Dr. Mario, in which you play that and things like that. Just, like nice little callbacks. And obviously the original Super Mario Brothers, would have to be playable in the Mario Generations game, just like how Sonic the Hedgehog is playable in Sonic Generations. So yeah, overall, like I said, 2 years ago when I thought of this idea, it was fresh. And to be honest, I'm surprised it's still fresh in my head what I wanted from this. But it's mostly because of the fact of me doing research and thinking, how could I make an idea of a game that has already existed this long while still keeping it to a level where people can relate? Mario's plots aren't that, inclusive. They're not that deep, and they're not that in-depth, unless you're playing the RPGs. So I needed to find a middle ground to make it so that it wouldn't be too plot heavy, but at the same time not be too lighthearted. And it was a hard thing to do. I didn't want it to be too kiddish, but I also didn't want it to be too simple or basic, and I also didn't want it to be too dark, especially from Mario's point of view, which Mario has had no problem being dark when it comes to certain games. Like I said, the Mario RPG series and the Paper Mario games have had no problem of showing dark imagery when they needed to. It's just, I needed to think of a way in order to make the game recognizable and keep its atmosphere about it without losing too much of itself, like Sonic would with Sonic 06. One of the things I think should be a thing when you complete the entire game, because there should be, still feel like there should be secret levels, and when you do that, you complete the entire game, and when you do that, enemies can change to like older enemies, or change, like, to make a reference to Super Mario World, where if you beat all of the super special awesome levels or whatever, then all of the enemies will turn into like jack-o'-lanterns and just weird things. It was weird. I think the same thing should apply here, in which when you beat when you're done beating the game in its entirety, you can play it again with enemies, models changed and things like that. Now, for power-ups. Several power-ups in the game that I was thinking most of the power-ups are used by Modern Mario, because Modern Mario has used most of the power-ups because he's been in more games, to be perfectly honest. But I see no reason why 8-bit Mario can't fiddle around with some of the modern power-ups. Like, for example, I can see 8-bit Mario using the penguin suit, I guess, or whatever, and having a slide animation. And then I could also see him using like the cat, well, not the recent cat suit, that's too recent. I'm trying to think within the boundaries of the older games. I could see him using like the cape feather or whatever, or the wings from Super Mario 64. Now, certain power-ups do have certain effects, because a lot of power-ups have the same. Like, Mario's cape feather allows him to fly, just like in any of the other games. However, the wing cap has the exact same ability, only flying more frustrating in Super Mario 64. I say that there should be secret entrances and areas that are only accessible to Mario when he's using a certain flying object. For example, if he's using the cape feather, then he should be able to fly, but he can do certain things with that one. However, the wing cap will allow him to go to secret areas that you didn't know were there once before if you enter certain spots using the wing cap and you have the skill to use it. Same would apply for 8-bit Mario. So while the cape feather has the ability to help Mario fly better than the wing cap would, the wing cap, if used correctly, can get you to areas that aren't accessible with any other means. I think it's a nice compromise. And then comically, having 8-bit Mario use power-ups like the cloud power-up or the bee power-up, or hell, even the rolling rock power-up would be very interesting to see in 8-bit. So I'll be looking forward to that. Now, controls. Overall, the controls for Modern Mario, because I explained this in a video once before, the controls for Modern Mario would pretty much be the exact same as in Super Mario Galaxies 1, New Super Mario for the Wii, and Super Mario Galaxy 2. He can do all of the things that he can do in those games. He can ground pound, do the triple jump, flip, whatever. The thing where he slides in and jumps at the exact same time. Hell, even like a little crawl if you hold the Z button and the down button and move around and all of that. All said and done, right? No real differences there, and he'll be able to punch and kick. And this gives him more of an edge. It makes you think, well, then what the hell's the point of 8-bit Mario if he can't do as many power-ups as that? As many movements as that. Well, 8-bit Mario controls basically just like he did in his classic side-scrollers. However, I've decided to do a combination of Mario 2 and 3 with his own hammer as a twist from the Donkey Kong series. His hammer would be a thing that he's able to use on enemies that have spikes on them, like the Spinies. However, the hammer can also be used on the ground in order to flip enemies if necessary. He also would have the ability to utilize the kicking attack that he does in Super Mario Brothers 2 and in just Mario Brothers for the arcade or whatever. So if something's flipped and he runs into it, he can kick it. Just like in Mario 3, where if he jumps on something and then he goes down and he moves towards it, he can kick it. And when he kicks it, it flies towards the end of the level. So he can still kick things just like in the classics. So he can actually use projectiles to his advantage and can occasionally lift vegetables out of the ground like in Mario 2. Or pull secret hidden items out of the ground using Mario 2's grabbing animation. So with the grab, the hammer throw, and the kick, 8-bit Mario can pretty much hold his own. So I think that's a noteworthy thing for him. And I think it's a nice touch. Overall, using Mario and then later on Luigi can do the same thing, only difference being the higher jump with less traction. I want to keep that as a thing that's a running, continuing thing because it's basically become staple. I know in Mario's classic games, Mario and Luigi basically controlled the same, only being different color palettes, but having that as a touch works, especially considering the fact that you have to earn Luigi by gaining stars. Other than that, the only way to really control Luigi would have to be in a 2-player in which he controls exactly like Mario, just for the sake of being fair. So with their controls very similar and power-ups working as they do, I think it would be very balanced if these two were to work like this. And like I said, the plot was something that I know may have been a little downsetting to a lot of you all, but I wanted to make a simple plot while at the same time being a plot worthy enough of being noticeable without it being the generic Princess Peach got kidnapped. Saving Princess Peach in this game still is a thing, and the Toads will explain exactly her condition, both of the Princess Peach's condition, and you even get comic like little cutscenes of both of the Princess Peaches and their capture. Like, there was one I was thinking of where 8-bit Princess Peach looks at a cake and then starts thinking and gets an idea to make one herself, and she ends up making an 8-bit cake for Mario. Thought that would be a pretty cool touch. And then there was a scene I was thinking of where modern Mario and 8-bit Mario run into Toad, but it's modern Toad, and all he's going to do is say hi to both of the Marios, and modern Mario stops for a minute, and 8-bit Mario just keeps running straight past him because he knows that he's expecting the "your princess is in another castle" spiel, but it didn't have, so he runs past, not giving him any care, while modern Mario's like, what just happened? Why did 8-bit Mario run straight past him like that? I thought it would be pretty comedic. So yeah, I like touching. I would like a touch like that. I would like to actually thank a lot of the people that supported my Mario Generations video all those 2 years ago, and how many views I got. Even to this day, the view count is like at 11,750. Good God, that's the most views I've ever gotten for a video ever to this day. And I would also like to thank that because it's the reason I got most of my subscribers in the first place. So I felt that I needed to do this video as like the closure video to the entire What If Mario Generations chapter. Will I be adding any more like concept or idea to it? Probably not. But I felt since I now have 200 subscribers, this would be the most accurate thing I could think of to do, because not so long ago I did a 100 subscribers video, which was basically my review of Pokemon The Origins. So it's good to see that I gained 100 new subscribers in less than half of the time. And my journey through YouTube has been really great. And I'm still pushing on. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I really appreciate how much support I've been getting. And I know that 200 isn't a big number in YouTube subscriber standards, but to be honest, I don't do this for the subscribers, and I'm actually a little grateful that my subscriber count is low, because I get to know a lot of my subscribers as people themselves, because those subscribers are usually the ones that comment on my videos frequently, so I get to like talk with them comment to comment, and I more or less respond to a lot of my viewers like questions or comments and things like that. So I feel I'm closer to the subscribers this way. I will hopefully I get more subscribers in the future, but for now, like I said, I'm not really upset about how low my subscriber count is, and it doesn't mean give up. For me, it just means keep going, and I do this because I love it. I don't do it in order to see a number go up. I like these videos because these videos are basically my views and how I express my opinions of the things I love. Anime, video games, no matter what it is or what's on my mind, I like to make these videos about it because I love you all, the viewers, and I love making videos about what I care about. I like keeping these videos as a reference to things that I did, and I hopefully people will be able to see these long after I'm gone and be like, wow, he's brought a good point about like Mario Generations, or I really enjoyed these X and Y reviews, or things like that. So pretty much with that said, I will see you all then, everybody. It's been a real fun journey through the Mario Generation chapter. But I gotta say, this is probably a close for now, unless anyone wants to make the fan game and send it to me as a link. I'll play it and explain how I think of it. Or like if you want to talk to me personally about it, then feel free to PM me, or I don't know how inbox works for YouTube anymore. It's kind of weird because Google has screwed everything up with YouTube. I better take some of that back, because Google might say, we don't appreciate you doing this. We'll take your video down if you talk shit on Google again. But yeah, like the inbox thing has been very weird. So I don't know how messages work anymore. But if you want to talk to me about Mario Generation, feel free to put it in the comment section of any of my Mario Generation videos. And this may be the close of it, the Mario Generations chapter, but I will be making more like what ifs for video games I've been thinking about it, and I definitely have been inspired by a lot of my favorite games that I've seen and going, what if these two game ideas were put together? Or what if they made a game in which this happens, but this happens? Like, I've had a lot of those like thoughts in my head. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to future videos that I make. And yeah, right now I'm stuck in a boundary between recording Pokemon Crystal LP, because I'm doing that now, and then also there's tons of other LPs I should get back to, like the Yu-Gi-Oh one. Good God, I haven't even gotten back to that, or the Legacy of Goku 2, like I promised everybody, because I said I was gonna do that game. And then I also have what else do I have? Any other projects I can think of right now? Not right now, but yeah, I have tons of projects ready to come out. It's just, with school and everything, I'm balancing it the best way I can. So with that said, I really hope you enjoyed the final Mario Generations video, or at least the final for now. Well, yeah, pretty much the final Mario Generations video. I really hope you all enjoyed my overall talk of how I feel Mario Generations would be if it weren't game. And in an alternate universe, this would probably have been a really kick-ass idea. And then there would be an alternate me going, well, what if there was an alternate Sonic Generations? And then I'd make that, and then... But anyway, I will see you all then, everybody. Have a great day, night, evening, whatever have you. Tyrone the God 3, out, everybody.